the most important thing today to talk about
is Patreon.
Because there's only 4 days left in July. 4 days left in July. And right now, we are not close to hitting the Patreon goal. For the first time ever, we're actually pretty far away from it. Not as much so as Patreon says. My actual Patreon page, if you go to patreon.com/darksidephil, says that we're like $400 off. That's completely wrong. I believe we're actually off by around $200 to $250. The problem is the Patreon page reflects false bids, like false pledges, but I've done away with false pledges by changing the way that it works and charging people up front when they pledge, so anyone who would have made a false pledge didn't make one this month. Therefore, the page still reflects that, but the change kind of eliminated that. So, it's kind of weird, alright? It's kind of weird. It's hard to explain. The bottom line is, we're hundreds of dollars away from hitting the goal. What is the goal this month? The goal this month is the return of the Patron's Choice playthrough, alright? This has always been successful. People have always done this and wanted to see it, and every playthrough I've done that's been Patron's Choice has been a fun one and an ongoing one. And I would definitely like to see what patrons would like to see me play. This, if we do hit the goal, it's going to be in early September when there's almost no new releases this year. I'm going to start up a game that's Patron's Choice and go from there, okay? But we got a lot of ground to make up in 4 days. Now, typically, this is what happens. Typically, at the end of the month, a lot of people either have these false pledges that they remove, or people who pledged a big amount last month will say, well, I can't do that this month, and they'll lower their pledge. Now, the good news is, most people have already done that. I kept a close eye on my Patreon over the month of July, and most people who did big pledges last month already have reduced them. So I don't think we're going to see a dip in what's been pledged on my Patreon this month. What I think we're going to hopefully see is last minute some people saying, well, it looks like, you know, Phil's not at the goal yet. I think I'll pledge now because I want to see the Patron's Choice playthrough happen. So hopefully within the next few days, we'll see a bunch of people collectively pledge, and we'll hit the goal. I've hit the goal every single month since I did Patreon, starting in February 2015, and it's been fun. It's been a great ride. I love doing all these different goals, but the bottom line is, if we don't hit the funding goal, I can't do the event. If I just did the event every month without the funding goal, then there would be no motivation to pledge. There would be no reason to do the goal, right? That's the whole point of having goal rewards on Patreon. So, if you haven't pledged yet, if you're consider pledging, please consider doing so. You only have 4 days left. It's by midnight, as you can see here, midnight on July. Actually, this is wrong. I'm looking at this. This is wrong. There's 31 days in July. This is 30. So this is actually incorrect. There's actually 4 days left to pledge. It's not by July 30th. It's midnight by July 31st. I just realized the typo on this card. But there's still time, alright? If you like my streams, you'll like my free on-demand videos, you'll like what I've done with KO Gaming this year, you'll like the vlogging style that I've done this year, you'll like the changes that I've actively made to everything, and you want to see it continue to be successful, please consider pledging. And of course, there's personal perks that you get for pledging too. It's not just like, oh, I'm only contributing to this group goal, but I don't care about the Patron's Choice. No, you get personal things such as text and verbal thank yous, getting your questions answered on Ask the King, getting premium forum access, and participation in voting. Right now, patrons from last month are voting on an upcoming Sonic Marathon, although it looks like overwhelmingly it's going to be Sonic 2006. Okay, and you also could maybe even get a private Q&A video made. Most people have absolutely loved the private, actually I say most, every person who's gotten a private Q&A video made has told me that they loved it. So there you have it. Alright everyone. So,
Patreon is important.
Please consider pledging. It's an essential part of my income, and it allows me to do this full time.